I've had my period since I was 9 years old and I've never missed a period. And so I thought I would take a test, and this is the cheap test, and oh my gosh, these results came in so clear. Those two lines, the C is the control line and the T is the pregnant line. Hey guys, so I already filmed another intro for this thinking that it was going to be the first trimester symptoms and must-haves, but it turned out that I had a lot to explain about the backstory. So this is the backstory to me and Josh finding out that we were pregnant. It's just some relatable things, and it's just some things that I kind of want documented on how I felt. And I think a few of the things that I talk about are helpful if you are in the same headspace as I was. So this video is the backstory. The next part will be my first trimester symptoms and must-haves, and then I'll do my second trimester and third trimester. So if you're interested in knowing how Josh and I came about even deciding to have kids and what that all looked like and how I told him, then keep watching. Josh and I had been together for 4.5 years at this point, married. We'd been married for 4.5 years and dating for 9.5 years. And so we never really talked about kids. I've talked about some hurtful things in our marriage before here on this channel, and I'll go into more of that later in other videos, because I really feel like, you know, marriage talks are always helpful. But the backstory is there had been a lot of hurt in our marriage, and I just didn't see myself having kids with him, and he couldn't see himself having kids either. We were kind of just typical millennials who were super annoyed by kids. If anything, like if there was a kid crying out at a restaurant or a kid in a grocery store, we were just really judgmental. And I hate that we were like that, but you know, it's just a maturity thing, and maybe you find yourself relating to that too. I can just honestly say I've never cared for kids very much, but I've never really been around young children either, because all of my family, they all had kids, and all of our cousins were all around our age, so I just haven't ever really been around babies or toddlers. So due to the lack of exposure, I just didn't have a whole lot of patience for the commitment that a kid required. And I had huge dreams to like travel the world. You guys know that I've been to Dubai and Africa a few times, and that's just something that was super important to me. It still is very important to travel and do ministry and stuff like that. But I just didn't see where a kid fit into all of that. It felt like a kid would take all of that away, especially because I would hear so many conversations from people like, oh, before you and Josh have kids, you need to get done what you're trying to get done beforehand, because your whole life is over after you have kids. So when you hear that enough times, like the negativity around having kids and not being able to fulfill what you feel like is your calling, it's like, okay, well then kids are off the table, because I'm not sacrificing the thing that wakes me up every morning, the thing that keeps me going. Like, I'm not going to sacrifice my hopes and dreams for a child, especially when there's already so many kids in the world that need to be adopted. So Josh and I were just like, yeah, we'll adopt later, whatever. Like, we didn't even think about it until Josh and I were a little bit careless one time, and we have always been careful, always careful. I have never taken birth control because I just don't agree with like what the chemicals do to your body, and that's a whole other conversation. That's my own opinion. I don't care if you take birth control. I really don't. Take all the birth control you want, do all the preventative things that you need to do. I don't take pills anyway. Like if I have a headache, I don't take a pill. If I have period cramps, I just don't take medicine. If I'm sick and I have a virus, I refuse to take any medicine. So that spilled over into my views with birth control. So I've never used a pill to birth control. I would never put hormones in my body. So that required Josh and I to be very careful in our sex life. And so we just used condoms and other methods of just being careful. And but then earlier in 2018, in June, we kind of had a moment where we just were like, you know, let's try it without being so careful. And so we did. And I remember like a few days later, we were out to dinner, and Josh was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be a dad. And that was like so weird for me to hear from him, because we hadn't been excited about any type of parenting journey ever. It was always very cynical, very like, ew, no, that is not for us. So to see his eyes light up and be like, ooh, we weren't careful this past time, I'm gonna be a dad, like this is so exciting. Like he was joking, but at the same time I could see it in his eyes. I mean, when you've been with someone for forever, you just know. And so I kind of saw that look and I was like, what? And I remember talking to him at dinner like, do you want to be a dad? Like soon? Like we're 25? Like the timing seems right, but I just hadn't entertained any of that. And thankfully God has done a lot to heal our marriage. So we were in a really good place. We still are in just an incredible place. It's a whole other talk for a whole other day. But it's like things had finally leveled out to where we were enjoying each other and enjoying life together. And so for him to bring up the parenting thing just really threw me off. And that just set a ball into motion from that day forward, where we were like, you know what? Maybe this like whole conceiving and parenting journey could be for us. So let's just decide to try. And we're not going to be intentional about it. Like I knew nothing about ovulation charts or calendars or peak fertility times. I knew nothing about that because I never entertained the idea. So then I had been tracking my period for 2 years before that, just because I got the app and it was fun to update my symptoms. I had a really like accurate depiction of when I would start my cycle, and I'm never late. Like never once have I been late for my period. Like if I was a day late, it was because the app was predicting incorrectly. It's like 28 days on the mark. That's when I start my period. I didn't want to be intentional with planning a pregnancy. I was just like, you know what? Let's just try sex like this for the first time, where we're not careful, where we are just fully going. And so, yeah, we did that for June and July and August. And I guess August was the month that we conceived. Josh and I have been not really preventing the past few months, but every time that the ovulation calendar would show the peak times of fertility, I would chicken out and I wouldn't want to do anything on those days. So I honestly didn't think we were going to get pregnant very quick, because I just was too afraid to even do anything. And we weren't really focused on it. Like I took a few pregnancy tests, like maybe 1 or 2. But then I would quickly start my period and be like, oh, that was dumb. Like, of course I'm not pregnant. And that kind of planted a weird seed in my head, like, ooh, maybe I'm like infertile. Like that thought did cross my mind a few times, because we had been sexually active for so long and never had a pregnancy scare. Like we thought we did because we were stupid and dumb, but there was no way. Just, anyway. So I had taken a few pregnancy tests since we had started trying, and they were all negative. So I knew what a negative one looked like, and I was like, okay, cool. And honestly, each time I peed on the stick, I would be super relieved. Like, oh my gosh, like thank God it's a negative. But then there was also like a 10% part of me that was like kind of slightly disappointed. So I was like, okay, God, like what are you doing in my heart? Like, do I want a kid? And it also started, this is a weird sign that I knew we were ready, but like out in stores, I told you how like awful we thought about people who like couldn't control their kids, or their kids were just pitching a fit or something, or even just a kid like yelling and they weren't cranky, they were just like making noise. We'd be like, ugh, kids. That stopped bothering me. Like I would see a little kid in a cart and their mom pushing it, and I would just think they were cute. And like I saw this mom having a conversation with her kid, and the baby was like 1, maybe 1.5. So the baby can't talk back, but the mom is just having a full-on conversation with the little one. And I was like, aw, that's so sweet. Like I'm out here shopping alone, but she has like this little person with her that she's enjoying, it looked like. So those two little things where I was like, ugh, I'm disappointed from negative pregnancy tests, and kids are starting to be less annoying. In September, on September 4th, I took a pregnancy test, and I even posted this photo. I'll show you right here. I posted this on my Instagram stories because Josh had his hand on my stomach right here because we went to film a wedding in South Texas, and we were at a hotel and we were just taking a picture, and Josh put his hand on my stomach, and I was like, oh, that looks a little weird. Like, it looks like maybe I'm pregnant or something, the way he's holding my stomach. And so I was like, I'm not preg, haha. But I actually was, because I didn't know that I was, because the day we got back, which was the day after that, was when I was like, oh, I'm a day late on my period. I am never late. My period is like clockwork. But then last month, we were active, and I guess something happened because the past few days I've been feeling a little bit different, just like a little bit more breast tenderness and some weird cramping that I wasn't really sure what it was. I just thought it was something that I ate. Today, I looked at my period app because I've been tracking it for the past year. I saw that I was 30 days into the cycle, and I always start between 24 and 28 days. Like, I've never gone 30 days before. And so then I was like, holy cow, this might be the moment. But I was used to the disappointment from the other pregnancy tests, so I was like, okay, don't get your hopes up. I picked out 2 pregnancy tests, one cheap one that was like 99 cents, but then I took out the $13 one that was like the clear blue brand, and I was like, I'm gonna pee on both of these. And so I thought I would take a test, and this is the cheap test, and oh my gosh, these results came in so clear. Those 2 lines, the C is the control line and the T is the pregnant line. And so I took that one, and then I immediately just started like saying, holy sh. And so I let them develop, I set them to the side, and I kid you not, like as I set the cheap one to the side, I saw 2 lines like appearing instantly, and I was like, are you like, and so I didn't even get to like set it down to the side. Like the 2 lines appeared way too fast. So I picked it up and I was like, holy mother of the Lord. Like, I said a few words, like I was just freaking out. I just cried and I prayed right then and there. And then I took the actual like expensive test that shows positive. And there it is. So yeah, I set that to the side, like, okay, that was the cheap one. Now let's pee on the expensive one, and that'll be like clear. And so peed on that one, set it to the side, pick it up, and it says pregnant. So I instantly started crying and just thanking God. I was just like, man, this is happening. I can't believe this is happening. And it was just a really cool moment between me and God in the bathroom with the pee sticks. I was like, okay, well, I have to go to lunch with Josh because we always have lunch together. And I didn't tell him during the lunch, but then afterward I went out to get him a bottle of whiskey because we shoot weddings a lot, right? So the groomsmen always have really quality alcohol in the groom suite, and they always offer it to us, and we don't drink on the job. But there was this one time where there was a very expensive whiskey in there. The guys were all like, dude, you have to try this, just do it. And so Josh tried it and he was like, whoa, that's really good. So he kept going on and on about this whiskey like weeks after that wedding, and I was like, okay, whatever, like I don't care. But then that came to my mind that day where I was like, ooh, I'm gonna buy him that whiskey because he'll just think that I finally got him some whiskey. But really, I was going to show him that he was gonna be a father. And so I went to Dollar Tree and got some pink and blue balloons filled with helium, and I got a card. So I have the tests right here, but I'm gonna cover them with this card, and that's just so we can know the date that we did this. And he loves dots, and I just picked him up at the dollar store because I had to get these balloons. And so I have the balloons all up like that. And then it's so weird that I got him whiskey, but Josh has been talking about this whiskey since we shot a wedding, and so I just thought it would be funny that to say on the card, like, I'm not going to be able to drink for a while, but I figured I would buy you this so you can. When he comes home, he always walks into the bathroom, like immediately. As soon as he gets home, he like trudges in here. And so immediately he's going to see this right here, and then he's going to see that.
So
he got home and I didn't tell him yet. And then he always takes a shower before bed. And while he was in the shower, I set everything up on the bed and I kind of like hid in the bathroom. And I was like super nervous because I was like, well, I can't believe we're actually doing this. Like this announcement thing, it's just happening. Like what? But he walked out and he saw the balloons and then he saw the whiskey and he was like, oh babe, you got my whiskey. And then I see him rip something away. Because on the card I put to my dearest husband on September 4th. And he knew right away that that meant something like important. So he ripped it away. And underneath I had the pregnancy test, the 2 positive ones. And then he like instantly like started crying and he's like, and he turns to the side where I was and he was like, are you serious? And his eyes are just filled with tears and then we go in for a hug and he's crying, I'm crying, and he put his hand on my stomach and he prayed over the baby and me, and it was just a really, really sweet moment. That moment was great. I love that moment. And in the card I wrote like some really meaningful things that are from the Bible, like how God knit you together in your mother's womb and how he's literally creating her, which now I know it's a girl, in utter seclusion. And it was just cool because Josh cried when he read those verses and it was just great. So that is all the backstory. That was so much backstory. Thanks for watching this. That's just a little bit about how it all started. And now we're going to get into the helpful side of things. So if you're interested in seeing the next part, go ahead and click below. I'll put the link below for the first trimester symptoms and must-haves. And I'll see you in the next part. Bye.
I think it's going to be pretty emotional because we want to be parents, but we're a little bit scared and intimidated financially. But we've been married for almost 5 years now and together for almost 10 years. So it feels like the time is right. And yeah, I can't believe it really. It's kind of surreal right now. Like I don't really know. Like I just keep thinking about the fact that there's something going on. And I downloaded the app, The Bump, of course. And I don't know, maybe it'll get more real as the time goes on and I need to schedule a doctor's appointment to get the actual results in. So anyways, thanks for watching. Bye.